let's just be real. On this podcast with me, your host, Marissa Tonge, we have real thoughts, real convos about adulthood, healing, self-care, wellness, entrepreneurship, and so much more. Get to know me on a deeper level as I navigate a new part of my life and share different perspectives from other millennials going towards their dreams. If you're ready to go beyond the surface, then sit down, relax, and let's get real. Hey, y'all, welcome back to another episode of the Let's Just Be Real podcast with me, your host, Marissa Tong. And this week, I'm super excited to dive into a new topic. This week, we're going to get real. Okay, like we're always going to get real, but today we're getting real. Okay, so I want to talk about the price of leveling up. Okay, the price of leveling up. And when we think about the term leveling up, maybe like Ciara's song comes to your head. I know it does for me. Like I'm a dancer, so level up, hey. But no, for real. Okay, so when we talk about leveling up usually entails becoming the better version of yourself. I'm not going to say the best, right? Because leveling up, like leveling is present tense. So leveling up is a process, right? Leveled up is maybe when you feel like you've reached that highest potential in yourself, or you just feel like you made it. You feel like you made it. You feel like you're there. You feel like you're that girl. Okay. But I feel like right now, including myself, a lot of people are in the process of leveling up. And I honestly feel like that's how life should be. Like, that's how it should be. We all should be leveling up together, collectively. But it doesn't always work that way. Okay. You do have some people who are Debbie Downers. They don't believe in themselves. They don't believe that they can maintain or obtain a better life. So, today we are going to be talking a little bit about that, the price of leveling up and what that looks like, what that feels like, what the consequences are. Like, it's not always glamorous, right? Like, stepping into this better version of yourself, it's a lot of shedding that you have to do. We're going to talk about like relationships and not just romantic, but friendships, family, what that looks like when you start leveling up and becoming the better version of you. So let's jump in. So maybe you're someone who is starting to make changes for yourself. Maybe you are seeing a better life for yourself. Maybe you're someone who grew up with, just like a family that was very content, very stagnant, or maybe your friends were very content with being stagnant. You grew up in a town where people weren't really doing big things. And when I say big things, I mean like being a content creator, being out there, quote unquote, out there, showing your face, maybe like making a lot of money. That could be, something that is considered big as well. Like maybe you grew up in a family where they were just cool with like a regular 9 to 5 hourly job. And look, I'm not knocking anybody who has that. Okay, I'm not knocking anybody who has a 9 to 5, not knocking anybody who works for hourly, because literally I just had an hourly job. Okay, so that was my part-time job. It was hourly. Not knocking any of that. However, maybe you don't want that for yourself. Maybe you decided recently, a couple years ago, maybe you've been working on yourself for the past couple years, and you decided you want more. Okay, maybe you want to take control of your income. Maybe you want to act. Maybe you want to be a professional dancer. Maybe you want to start a podcast. Maybe you want to be a world traveler. Maybe you want to get paid for traveling. There's so many like roles and professions and jobs that are outside of the box that most of us have grown up inside of. And sometimes when we step outside of that box, people look at us a little differently, or people look at us crazy. Like, your dreams are too big, your goals are too big, that's unrealistic. I read The Four Agreements, which is a very popular book. And in the book, he talks a lot about our conditioning, growing up in society, how we are conditioned to have a lot of fear, have a lot of fear, have a lot of limitations. You might have grown up in a household where whatever job or dream life you saw yourself having, maybe your parents just put it in your head that that wasn't realistic, or you weren't going to make money doing that job. So if that was the case for you, and now maybe you're unconditioning yourself, right, to think differently, and you're doing a lot of mindset work like myself, that could be challenging. That could be really challenging when you are still around people who do have a very small mind or a very closed mind. So, some of the consequences of leveling up could be, losing friends. And it could go two ways, right? It could be either you decided that you don't want the relationships anymore, that you're outgrowing them, that it's not serving you. And that's typically what happens in adult life, right? For the most part, unless you are someone that is cool with just being content and just, living and coasting and not really thinking too much about your relationships or your friendships, right? But if you are in that phase, sometimes leveling up is going to require you to create space for yourself, to take a step back from certain relationships, from certain people, especially when they're negative Nancy's. Like, nobody needs a negative Nancy or someone that is constantly doubting you or doesn't build you up or doesn't believe in anything that you're doing or isn't trying to motivate you or doesn't want to be inspired themselves, right? Maybe what you're doing requires a lot of focus. Maybe what you're doing requires a period of isolation, right? That's another consequence. Sometimes you do just need to isolate yourself and to really just take time to focus on whatever it is that you're doing. And sometimes not everybody's going to get that. Not everybody's going to understand that, especially when you're dealing with people who they're not there. They're not there mentally. They're not there. They don't see the same vision for their life. They don't understand what it takes some time to get wherever you need to be. And this could be with multiple instances. We're not talking about any particular job or any particular dream or goal. Anything that is big, if you see yourself having a big life, it requires focus. It requires change. It requires habits, good habits. It requires discipline, right? And sometimes when you focus on those things and you start making those big shifts, people don't get it. They're not going to get it, you know? So that's another consequence. Some people are going to label you as thinking that you're better than them, or you might start hearing things like, who does she think she is, or who does he think he is? And people just, they can't identify with the old you anymore. They don't really know who this new version of you is, so they can't relate to it, and it makes them uncomfortable. Sometimes what also triggers them to feel uncomfortable or to feel maybe, jealous or envious is the fact that they don't have the drive that you have. They don't have the courage, they don't have the confidence to go for their dreams, because I truly believe that everybody has dreams. Everybody was born with some type of vision, or purpose for their life. Whether you figure out your purpose in life, that's, that's on you. I truly feel like we all were given a purpose, and a reason to be on this earth and to serve other people in whatever way, that we need to, whatever it is. Everybody has a purpose. Okay. But not everybody is going to figure that out. Okay. So because some people are feeling stuck, or they're feeling like they don't have, the courage, or they don't have the resources, or they don't have the motivation to go towards what they want, they're not going to be able to understand where you're at. They're not going to be able to understand you. So they're going to try to label you to try to make you feel bad about whatever it is that you're doing. And we're not talking about everybody. We're talking about very few people, okay? Like, if you had maybe 7 friends, maybe 1 or 2 friends might feel this way, okay? It's very common. It's something that a lot of people talk about when they get to a certain level of success or achievement in their life. It's just very normal and it shouldn't be normal, but it's very normal to have these types of people around you. So, how do we combat this? How do we deal with the haters, or how do we deal with being misunderstood? How do we deal with the lack of support within our families or maybe our friends? I would say, like, you really just have to remember the bigger picture. Remember your why. Why are you doing this? Why do you want this? Why are you working so hard? Why are you taking this time to isolate yourself? Why are you spending more weekends at home rather than going out and drinking or spending a bunch of money on BS? Period. What's your why? How bad do you want the life that you're working towards? Because it's obtainable, it's realistic, other people have done it. The best motivation is seeing other people who have come from worse situations than you level all the way up. Level all the way up. Like, I was just talking to my friend about Viola Davis book. I haven't read it yet. It's on my list to read, but she was on, I think, like Oprah's podcast or show, whatever. I was watching it on YouTube. And she was talking about like how she grew up in, poverty, and her family was very poor, and there would be nights where like they didn't have heat, or she, didn't have new clothes to wear to school, and there was a situation where like they had rats in their house and the rats were like crawling on her when she was sleeping. I was like, yo, for that to happen, and then you become this huge star, like this award winning, phenomenal, inspirational, like idol to so many women, especially Black women, like that is goals. That's goals. And that's why I say, like, your dreams are not unrealistic. Don't ever let anybody make you believe that. You can get anything that you want. It's just going to take sacrifice. And sometimes those sacrifices include cutting people off, growing out of situations, leaving your job, like taking risks. But not everybody wants to do that. Not everybody wants to do that. So if you are someone that is on the path to just a big life, I like to call it a big life, because a big life, it's just so broad. Like your life doesn't have to look the same as everybody else's, and that's what I hate too with like social media and like Instagram. Like, there's always this like one aesthetic, that everybody should go towards, like this one aesthetic, like, oh, I wake up at 5 and I drink matcha lattes, and then I go for a run with my dog, and then I come back and I read for 2 hours, and then I run my business, and then I work out for another 2 hours, and then I post all these like reels and TikToks that get like a million views. Like, come on. It's unrealistic. It's unrealistic. Your life is not going to look the same as everybody else's. There's this like whole just pressure that we need to live like this perfect life and have the same routine and the same perfect routine as everybody else, and do the same things to achieve success. And while I do believe that there is a blueprint, I don't believe that the same blueprint is for everyone. I think there's different blueprints. So that's why you just have to find your tribe. You find the people that motivate you. You find the people that are living the life that you truly want to live, and you use them as inspiration. But that's going to wrap up today's episode. I am trying to keep these short for now, these solo episodes, so you guys can really just tap in and get to know me and listen to a few episodes at once, so that you can, really get into the podcast. If this is your first time listening, thank you so much for tuning in today. I really hope that this episode was helpful or useful to you, and just helped you like just get some like oomph, like a little fire, under you, to just go get it. Go get it. Don't let people hold you back. That's the biggest thing. Like, if you let people hold you back, you will absolutely regret it. You will absolutely regret it, because you will be in the same place that they're at, which is nowhere. Okay. If you enjoy this episode, please rate and review. You guys can leave me a 5-star rating if you really enjoyed. I'll even take 4 stars, fine, but 5 is definitely preferred. And let me know how you like this episode. You guys can also fill out that little box and let me know what you think of this episode. And follow me on socials. Wrist Fit Kitty on Instagram. You guys can also follow my business page, Real Rhythm Dance Fitness, and follow me on YouTube as well, Marissa Tonge. I have 2 YouTube channels as well, my personal and my business. So I really am excited to keep bringing you guys some fun conversations and topics. In the next few weeks, I will start having some guests on the show and having some interactive conversations, which are going to be really good because I love to talk and I love to talk deep. So I'm super excited for our upcoming guests. Make sure you guys turn on that notification bell so you guys get notified whenever I upload new episodes. Right now, I'm aiming for at least 1 episode a week, but it might be 2. I'm thinking 2 is good, especially because we're keeping the episode short. So, thank you so much for tuning in. Enjoy the rest of your beautiful day, and I'll see you guys in the next episode.